The Shanxi Coal Mine Catastrophe in China. The cheapest thing is the lives of people at the bottom. This is Jersey News Commentary Channel. A mining disaster is often more than just an accident, it is a mirror. On the evening of May 22, 2026, a massive gas explosion occurred at the Liushenyu Coal Mine in Qinyuan County, Changzhi, Shanxi Province. According to official reports, at 7:20 p.m., a gas explosion caused massive casualties. What shocked people even more was a bizarre detail that surfaced afterward. At the time of the explosion, the mine's public board recorded only 124 workers underground, while the actual number of miners underground was 247. In other words, 123 people had disappeared from the system. In other words, what the gas explosion destroyed was not merely a coal mine, it blew open the cruel reality of how the lives of China's bottom-class people are ignored. Because behind this number lies not only management chaos and technical loopholes, but a suffocating logic. Coal is valuable. Human lives are not. 247 people versus 124, who erased the other 123. In a modern coal mine management system, going underground is not supposed to be a casual matter. According to regulations, miners must go through registration, facial recognition, safety inspections, and positioning systems to ensure the exact number of underground workers can be monitored in real time for precise rescue in the event of an accident. Yet what the Liushenyu Coal Mine disaster exposed was this: 247 miners were underground, while only 124 were officially recorded in the system. Public reports also revealed that more than 100 miners were not wearing positioning devices as required. What does this mean? It means that a large number of workers underground were effectively operating as invisible workers outside the system. Even more disturbing, during rescue operations, the mine-provided underground maps were reportedly found to differ significantly from the actual tunnels. Public opinion referred to them as dual-track maps, one version for inspection, another for reality. Rescue teams searching for survivors reportedly discovered tunnels that did not even exist on the official diagrams. Why were there people underground who did not exist in the system? Why were workers not wearing tracking devices? Why did the maps not match reality? In short, all of these suspicious irregularities appear designed to hide the truth, to cover up unauthorized mining, illegal excavation, and extra profit-making. When 123 people can simply disappear from the system, this is not a matter of someone pressing the wrong button, nor the carelessness of an administrator. It points to a long-established underground operating model based on unofficial labor and hidden practices. Anyone with common sense knows that a high-risk industry cannot operate, on luck alone, at large scale, for a long time. Why was a mine already flagged as dangerous still allowed to operate? What is even more unsettling is that Liushenyu Coal Mine was not a mine that suddenly had an accident. Public records show that it was classified as a high-gas mine, had been included on lists of disaster-prone mines, and had previously received safety penalties. In other words, it was not that nobody had warned of danger. Warnings had already been issued. So the question is, if risks had long been known, why did such a massive catastrophe still happen? Why was such a high-risk mine still allowed to continue operating? Why were serious safety violations not corrected in advance? Why, after the explosion, did people instead discover a massive black hole between 247 actual workers and only 124 registered workers? Naturally, many people begin to wonder, where was the regulator? In many resource-dependent regions, coal mines are not merely businesses. They are pillars of local government revenue, employment, and economic growth. A large coal mine affects local tax revenue, GDP growth, jobs, fiscal operations, infrastructure development, local officials' political achievements and promotions, and, in the eyes of many, also the endless streams of hidden benefits flowing through systems of power. From county officials, to city officials, to provincial authorities, from workplace safety departments to taxation offices and other relevant agencies, every temple must be visited. Every god must be appeased. It is precisely within such a structure of interests that regulation can become little more than decoration, inspections reduced to mere formalities, and risks tolerated or ignored for years. Experience repeatedly shows that when a company dares to break safety rules for long periods of time, it is rarely accidental. It often suggests that the company believes someone powerful is protecting it. When violations become routine, when hidden dangers become daily normality, and when inspections turn into procedural theater, the problem is no longer merely about one company. It becomes a problem of the entire system, a problem of governance itself. Coal is valuable. Human lives are not. The underground world through the eyes of miners. After the Liushenyu disaster, testimonies from frontline miners began circulating online and through media channels. Some longtime coal industry workers reported that in certain mines, gas inspections have become severely ritualized and performative. Inspectors are allegedly instructed to avoid high-concentration gas areas and instead measure relatively safer zones so as not to interrupt normal production. The logic is simple: once dangerous gas concentrations are detected, operations must stop. And stopping work means less coal mined and less money earned. Thus, safety gives way to output, and life gives way to profit. Other miners reported the long-term existence of so-called dry drilling practices, drilling without wet dust suppression in order to save equipment costs, water, electricity, and operating expenses. The result? Dust fills the air. Workers inhale it for years. Many eventually suffer severe lung disease, living lives worse than death. From cover-ups and delayed reporting, to illegal production, overcrowded shifts, and superficial inspections, China's coal mine disasters have repeatedly reminded people of one brutal truth: when profit collides with human life, the first thing sacrificed is often the lives of workers at the bottom. Miners are not ignorant of danger. They understand it better than anyone. But many of them simply have no choice. For countless workers from rural or economically struggling families, going underground means higher pay and also greater danger. They know the risks, yet still gamble with their lives. Because not going underground means no tuition for children, no medicine for elderly parents, no mortgage payments, no livelihood. Under such conditions, what appears to be a voluntary choice is often no choice at all, merely survival under pressure. Why are miners most concerned about compensation? After the disaster, one heartbreaking detail stood out. Reports said that some miners who narrowly escaped death, still shaken and traumatized, were already asking one question: how much compensation will the families of the dead receive? Many people react angrily: why not care about life first? Why think about money first? But perhaps the real problem lies precisely here. When an ordinary family has no savings and little social security support, a sudden death in a mining accident often means the collapse of the entire household. For many poor families, a miner is the sole breadwinner. If he dies, what happens to the family? What happens to the children? What happens to the elderly? Thus compensation becomes the one thing left to hold onto the final lifeline. This is not cold-heartedness. It is helplessness shaped by long-term economic vulnerability. The truly tragic thing is not that people care about compensation. The tragedy is that many ordinary people at the bottom have been forced to believe that their lives may only become worth something after death. Why can the slogan "people first" not reach the coal mine? For years, Chinese officials have repeatedly emphasized slogans like "people first" and "life above all." The slogans sound noble. But the question is this: what is the minimum standard for a government or ruling party that truly places life first? At the very least, it should ensure that miners are truthfully recorded, rather than disappearing from systems. That tracking devices are genuinely worn, rather than existing only for appearances. That maps are accurate, rather than becoming dual-track maps. That inspections actually discover problems, rather than allowing risks to accumulate until catastrophe strikes. Otherwise, no matter how loud the slogans are, they collapse in the face of brutal reality. What truly exploded at Liushenyu Coal Mine was not only gas. What exploded was a deeply unsettling reality in China. The lives of workers at the bottom are still treated as expendable costs. Beneath the mine lies the lives of workers. Above the mine lie profits, production targets, evaluations, fiscal pressure, and development goals. And when the latter constantly outweigh the former, disaster becomes inevitable. After every mining disaster, people grow angry, mourn, reflect, and then gradually forget. Until the next explosion comes. The Liushenyu mine disaster resembles a metaphor and a symbol of China's present reality. When a system constantly shouts "people first," yet people can still disappear underground without a trace, society cannot help but ask, in certain realities, what is truly the cheapest thing: coal, or human life?